Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to be here in Austin at COTA for the F1 GP and for F1 Academy. We have Hamda here with us today. So Hamda, just to give kind of a 10,000 foot view, can you share how you got into racing and your overall journey and how you basically got here?
Yeah, for sure. I got into racing when I was 12 years old. I followed my sister's footsteps. She started before me. And yeah, I started in karting. It was a hobby at first and then slowly became a profession, and we took it more serious and we moved up to single-seater to Formula 4, where I competed nationally and internationally. I got really great results, and we joined F1 Academy after that, and also good results here, so I'm really happy to be a part of F1 Academy.
Yeah, so with your experience racing in Italian and the UAE F4, that's obviously been all mixed gender racing.
Yeah.
What has the change been like to move to an all-female series? Is it more comfortable, or is it more welcoming, or is it just the same? What's that experience been like?
I think for sure I expected a challenge. Even though it's all female, I expected a good and a tough grid, and it was what I expected. Yeah. Coming from a mixed grid, it's no different, I would say, in terms of competition and the pace of everyone. We're all very close, we're all very competitive, so it wasn't a big change for me, I would say. Other than having an injury earlier this year, I didn't know if that kind of pushed my performance a bit down for the beginning of the season, but I still performed well, so it was quite good. And yeah, I don't see a big difference. I think the atmosphere is the same. All the girls are really competitive. They're all enjoying it, so yeah, it's a really good atmosphere. Yeah.
Speaking of your wrist, you broke your wrist, came back 6 weeks later and won in Valencia.
Yeah.
How did you get back on track both mentally and physically in order to get that win?
Yeah, it was a really tough journey, I would say. I was told in the hospital, I was sitting there on the bed, and they told me, you can't drive for 4 months.
Right.
And that was a big shock to me. And in 6 weeks, I was back in the car, already driving in Barcelona.
Yep.
Obviously, I only did 5 laps each day, so
yeah.
It's nothing. And I barely used my right arm. But it was good to be back, and just feeling the speed, it made me happy again. Mm-hmm. And going into the Paul Ricard pre-season test as well, you saw improvements already from the first day. I was fastest, but yeah. Just not even pushing it, not doing anything risky. So that gave me the hope that I can still perform, and it pushed me through. So after the pre-season test, where I saw the results and I saw that I was able to do it, that's when I went to the first round with a good mindset, and I said, if I did it in the pre-season test, for sure I can perform in round 1.
Yeah.
And even with the odds against me a bit with mechanical issues I had in round 1, I still got a podium, and winning in Valencia to complete it was good for me.
Yeah. In your history of racing, you've had a number of podiums, you've had a number of wins, and you're obviously still very young in your trajectory in your career. How do you think your young age has maybe allowed you to soak up more information, or do you think that because you're a bit younger and you're still learning a lot, but you're so successful, how has that maybe impacted how people perceive you or anything else?
I think it's just because when I get into any competition, I don't really expect much for myself, and that has helped me, because then I get results naturally. I focus on what I need to do without looking at everyone around me, because then if you take your focus away from yourself, then that's less percentage of you focusing on what you need to do. So,
right.
So I think that's just the main thing that helped me. Mentally, I struggled a bit a few times. I had a lot of ups and downs, but it's all part of it. It's all part of learning, and I think in the end, it's extracting the most out of myself. Even with the injury, I told everyone it was actually a good thing that it happened to me, because I came into the season with no expectations. I came in, okay, I have an injury, just drive, and I got results. So,
yeah. You won immediately.
Yeah, so it was really good. Yeah,
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, you and your sister Amna are among the first Emirati women to compete in racing worldwide, nationally, all of it. How do you think that you and your sister being able to race on a global stage like this, especially with Austin being broadcast, is going to impact Emirati women around the world?
I think, ever since my sister got into motorsports and karting nationally in the country, it was like a big step forward, and she paved the way for me and for a lot of Emiratis now getting into karting. When I went back home in the summer break, we have a team in the UAE, and I went to check on the team, and I saw 3 girls, Emirati girls, and it gave me the biggest smile ever, because yeah, it's a really good step forward for us, and a lot of girls are getting into it now, and they're telling us, because you because my father saw you in the sport, he allowed me to do it. So it's a really big step forward, and I think, you know, for a lot of females, Arabs in general, you know, they can get into the sport and they can perform. And you know, with this being broadcasted, I have a lot of people back home cheering me on, and it's a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And speaking of, you know, speaking in public and being open with your life, whether it's racing or personal, on your social media you have a mixture of both. You post both racing content, you post a lot of personal content. How do you think that having that mixture and blending, even just giving your following some BTS, gives them insight into your life, or maybe makes them feel like they can connect with you better or better engage with you in your community?
Yeah, I mean, in general, people think that, you know, it's all about racing and I don't do much at home, but I still am studying. I'm in university. I'm like any other teenager, I would say, you know, trying to get through classes, getting through all my studies, but at the same time doing racing as a profession. And a lot of people see me try to balance the both, and they wonder how I'm able to do it, because it's really difficult, but when they see me do it, then they also get encouraged to do the same. So yeah, it's nice that I'm able to show them that side of me, and for them to see what I do other than racing. So,
yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So do you see this? How do you see the sport growing and becoming more representative? Right. So adding more people of color, adding more women in general in the motorsports community, and beyond that, how do you think F1 Academy is contributing to that?
I think for sure F1 Academy made a big step for us. Like last year, to be honest, I had no idea what I would be doing in racing. It's difficult to get the financial backing. It's such an expensive sport, so you know, I didn't know what I was gonna do. And then F1 Academy came, and it was the biggest opportunity for me. You know, and now with the biggest news of F1 teams being involved as well, it's a really big step. That's going to be alongside F1 next year, every round. So another big step, more exposure is going to help me with sponsors, with people know what I actually do in the sport. So it's all broadcasted, everybody can see what I actually do. So big steps forward, and I think for sure we're going the right direction, I would say, with females in motorsport. Yeah.
If there was one thing that you want to see in the future of the sport, what would it be?
A female in F1, for sure.
I feel like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Similar but different. Do you have any role models in the sphere? So whether they're in racing or not in racing, you know, who do you kind of guide your path against?
I think, you know, in general, I look towards a lot of Formula One. So all the drivers there, for sure, they inspire me, and I don't really have one driver that differs from the rest. You know, they're all really good. To be already in F1, it's an achievement. So you know, like all of these drivers, they inspire me. But females in motorsport, I would say Jamie Chadwick for sure. She pushed me, I think, to try to get into F4 as well and perform. I remember seeing her when she was racing in F3 Asia, and I was in Formula 4. She was winning races, I was winning races in F4. So it was nice to be in the same environment as her, and she's very strong and she achieved a lot in the sport. So yeah, I would say she's one of my role models there.
You can go. If you weren't racing, what do you think that you would be doing? So do you think that you would still be involved in motorsport in capacity? Do you think you would just be studying at university? You know, what would your life look like if you weren't doing this?
I think if I wasn't racing, which is a very little, I think probably I would be doing gymnastics, because I'd done it for 11 years before getting into motorsport. So yeah, it was a long journey in gymnastics. I reached quite a high level, actually. Then I moved to, because it bored me a bit. It was kind of a boring sport for me, but because there was only one competition a year, so it was all practice until that one competition, and yeah, there was no excitement, and so I moved into motorsport. But yeah, I would say probably gymnastics, because I was moving up the ranks there, and I think I would have stayed there. Yeah.
I think it's unlikely to find any other sport as exciting as
motorsport. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, last question. If you had one piece of advice for those who feel uncomfortable entering motorsport, whether in professional circumstances or as a fan, because maybe they don't feel represented or maybe they have this imposter syndrome, what would your advice be?
I think I would say just push through. You know, you shouldn't care about what anyone says or thinks. It's about what you want in the end, and if you think you can pursue something in motorsport, you should try and go for it, whether you think you can make it or not. In the end, you know, you tried your best and you did what you could to get into the sport. Also, I would say just keep your focus 100%, especially when you go for things. You know, you want to make sure you gave your all in the sport, and then you can leave when you're happy. So that's what I'd say.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.